Hello, this is Ricky.
And this is Joe, and this is the Season 2, Episode 20 episode of the Beer and Broadband podcast. It should come out on November the 11th, 2019. And I totally screwed that up because I say the in front of the Season 2 every time. It is Season 2, Episode 20. There we go. We only have one more episode this season, so for anybody that's out there that's looking to catch up on all your Beer and Broadband goodness, make sure you get into that episode next week. And there's the Cooper in the background. He's making noises, moaning and stuff like that, just in case you didn't know. Let's talk about the beer before we get into the other topics. So we have the Old Hickory Brewing Imperial Stout brewed with honey. It says it's brewed and bottled by Old Hickory, and it gives us a bottled on date, which is kind of nice. They got some nice artwork here, Hell Honey, and they've got some neat stuff there. It is 10.5% ABV, and that is all they have on here about this beer. They don't have anything else. So tell me what you think about it.
It's not bad. It's a little more bitter than I'd like.
It might be me, but it tastes exactly like I expected for it to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that honey aftertaste.
Yeah, there is a little bit of it. I really think probably they're just using honey just instead of a malt, and they're just kind of brewing like a traditional stout, which does give you some stuff. It gives you a little bit of an aftertaste because honey's not 100% fermentable. Right. You know, there's always a little bit of it left behind, so it can give some sweetness.
It is definitely a stout. It is definitely brewed with honey. It is, but I like stouts, and so it's everything that I like in a stout. It's creamy. Mm-hmm. It's got that bitterness. It's not perfect, but it's not the best stout I've ever had. But it definitely fits the theme of today's episode. Yeah,
it does. It could. I think just when you read about like brewed with honey, and you're someone that has brewed a lot of stuff with honey, I was expecting a slightly different direction. But I mean, you're right. It's a very like traditional stout. They're probably just using honey instead of malt. Yeah. And boom, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. So there's not much else you can say about it. If you like stouts and you like mead, this is something worth trying. It is not the pinnacle of either, but it's pretty good. I like it.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the cluster. I'm going to let you talk about the Nectar Creek cluster, cranberry and strawberry.
This is Nectar Creek cluster, cranberry and strawberry session mead. It's made with 100% raw honey directly from beekeepers. I love when they do this. They got the actual nutritional facts on it. It's a 12-ounce can, 140 calories, 5 grams of sugar. They actually even have like ingredients: water, honey, cranberry, strawberries, and sulfites. Which the sulfites is what you put in for as a preservative and to kill the yeast, so that makes sense. 5.1 ABV.
Well, there goes Cooper. Cooper, stop, please.
He's in here every time, but today it's you know what? It's the day after Halloween. There's ghosts in the house.
Yep, that's gotta be what it is. So I like it. It has definitely a very nice honey and strawberry flavor. For anybody that didn't catch it, 6% ABV.
5.1
ABV. So it's not super alcoholic. Not if you want a mead, it's got a nice crisp flavor, very fruity. The honey is nice in it. It's a very sippable drink.
It is. It is very simple. I like that. This is something with cranberry in it that doesn't go for cranberry cocktail. Like it does have some of that tartness, like regular cranberry juice with no sugar added to it. Not sweet. It's got that soury, almost bittery taste to it, which is good because that balances out really well with the strawberry. And it's got a cute little bee on the picture on it.
So, that said, I think you should save a little bit of that because you're going to need some probably.
Okay.
Go ahead and take these.
All right.
And pop a few in your mouth. Eat them one at a time, I think.
Okay.
And if you want some more, I saved you some. So this is not on the stuff. I just surprised Ricky with this. He knew I was going to make him eat something, but It's M&M's white candy corn candy.
I knew it. I'm going to admit, when you picked the package, like, oh, those are M&M's, and you told me not to have any, and we need to wait for the podcast, I was like, what's the worst thing they could have done for an M&M? And I'm thinking, I've had most of the weird flavors that aren't any good. But then it was like, would they put candy corn in an M&M? That'd be so nasty. Why would you do it? Of course, this isn't as bad as what I was thinking.
It's not candy corn in an M&M. It's M&M with the chocolate flavored with the different stripes of the candy corn.
Yes. So see, that is better than what was pictured in my head.
Yeah.
Which it was like how they've done the caramel ones, which is a regular M&M with caramel inside. I was worried it was going to be a regular M&M with actual candy corn inside.
Candy corn inside. That would be horrible. Mm-hmm. Although, chocolate and candy corn isn't that bad, but they need to be separate and then mix in your mouth, not together all at once. But yeah, so they're orange, yellow, and white. Definitely not my favorite M&Ms. Mm-hmm. They're very interesting candies. Not the sort of thing that I want to spend those sugar calories on. But it's an interesting candy proposition.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't buy them, but they're also not the worst flavored M&Ms I've had.
Definitely not. I just thought I wanted to get your reaction on audio for the whole world to kind of hear out there.
Yeah, that's not great. That's in those limited edition collection of stuff, which I hate because I feel like as just people, they see, oh, this is a limited time. I should buy one and try it because they might be good and I can't get them later.
Yep.
90% of the time, the limited edition thing is awful. You buy it just because it's limited edition and to try it. Like I would never buy that M&M.
Nope.
Just like they also did they do some Easter coconut ones or something like that, which are limited edition. Yep. They might not be limited edition anymore, but I know they used to be. Those were awful.
Yeah, I don't necessarily always love the M&M stuff, but I mean this was an interesting thing to try. So gave it a go. It was on sale for 50% off at Target after Halloween. But there was only one bag left. So people had bought them.
Yeah, again, limited time. It's on sale.
Yep.
The monkey brain part of the human is like, ooh. Rare and cheap.
Yep. So going to be pawning those off on people in church, or whatever, so they can't.
We can save some and we'll put them in the whatever it's called, the Boon and Bane cards.
Oh, yeah.
Just real life. Bane, you got to eat a handful of these.
Eat a handful of these and talk at the same time. Mm-hmm. Yep, that'd be great. So let's talk about Google acquiring Fitbit. Mm-hmm. So have you heard about this?
I have, and I'm not too surprised by it.
As an owner of a Fitbit, how do you feel about this?
If I was more linked into the social side of Fitbit, where they've got their little website and you do your calorie logging and make friends groups and all that stuff, I would be more concerned about it because I don't really trust Google a lot with a whole lot of my information. Mm-hmm. As someone who really only uses the stuff that's on the bit itself, there's still biometrical data there to an extent, heart rate and things like that. But I've got one of the ones that's not GPS enabled.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess I'm neutral on it. I'm not surprised it happened because Google came out hard trying to have their own fitness stuff. That just kind of fell through because Fitbit already had the market. They just couldn't win the market back from Fitbit. So that always ends with the bigger company just buying the smaller company.
They also haven't been able to get their own watch off the ground. Google does not have, and Google is an acquisitions company now.
Yeah.
Well, we say Google, but really it's the Alphabet
yeah.
company, right? But the much like a Cisco or a Microsoft at this point, a lot of those companies now, they don't necessarily make new things. They buy things that other people have made, and then they improve on it or iterate it, move it into their own branding. So I think this could be really good for both Google and Fitbit in terms of people that enjoy Android can get a default watch, kind of like the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
As someone who's used the Samsung Watch, I've got it on right now, that Galaxy Watch. I don't love the Galaxy Watch. I have worn it for a while. I still use it, and I mean, this is not a Galaxy Watch hate. I wear it. It's got some positive things. I like the fitness tracking and stuff on it. But I'm probably going to get a Fitbit. I've been looking at getting one because they're so much cheaper. And the only thing that kills me is it doesn't have GPS built in.
Some of them do.
I don't care if it's got all the other things around it that works. It's the very fact that the cheaper ones don't have the GPS built in that bothers me. So I'm hoping that Google will bring some of that stuff with it and better integration natively with Android.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing I'd like to see is the better integration, because it's not bad, but clearly, Google and Apple have their reason to maybe not want it to be the best integration possible, because they've got their own platforms they were trying to do. So I'd love to see some of those little kinks get worked out, because there's a little bit of weird stuff that happens with the Fitbit, of like really how you got to set up the syncing so that it actually syncs right with Android and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll see. I just hope they kind of give it the money and attention it deserves. I mean, as an acquisitions company, there is a conversation happening right now between the current fitness group and Fitbit of, well, how's that integration going to work? Are we going to have both? Are we going to consolidate both? Are we going to lay off all the Fitbit people and just give the Fitbit stuff to the people who are doing the Google stuff? If that gets handled kind of with some respect, some nice merging there, and it really becomes the new offering and not the competing offerings within the company, it's probably going to turn out okay.
I agree. But, having worked in a place where have to help other companies kind of integrate and stuff like that, it is interesting just to watch something like this happen. Yeah. Where you've got two big things that are coming together. So here's another thing that I read about this. It looked like Facebook was trying to buy Fitbit, and they just didn't offer as much as Google did. And so would it change your thought on this? Because it seems like you're fairly positive about it.
Yeah, well,
would it make you a little bit? Well, you're more on the positive side than the negative side, I'd say, because you have some positive things to say about it.
Yeah, there could be some good stuff that happens from it.
Yeah. So, what about with Facebook if it had bought?
No, I would be very upset.
No.
And it's not. And really, all the positive things still apply. They could still put a lot of resources in it. They could make it better. But with Facebook, I would immediately worry that it's going to require Facebook integration, like a lot of their other stuff does. It's like, oh, you want to make an account? Sign in with your Facebook account. We're going to automatically put this on your feed. It's what I like about the Fitbit is that I can be disconnected from all that social stuff. If I want just a fitness tracker, I can have just a fitness tracker. And I feel like Google will still allow that, where Facebook's drive would be to, no, this is now a Facebook integration product,
I totally agree with you. I would be so upset. This would be just the Oculus over again. For all the really cool things the Oculus can do, they basically focused on the mobile development of the device. The Oculus Go has some really great things about it from a technological standpoint, but from spying and media and gathering, it is like one of the perfect devices for that. It can see all the things that you do. So I'm not super happy about Facebook acquiring other things. I feel like, one of the best options we had for great VR that was affordable, got consumed by them, and they just I wouldn't say they ruined it, but they used it in a way that was not customer focused. You became the product for Oculus, not the other way around. Yeah. So that's a concern that I would have with anything. Google's going to do something similar with the Fitbit, but I don't, just for some reason, and this may be just my perception of it. Maybe that I'm a little bit fanboy for Google. I don't know. I don't really love Google, but I use their products more than I do anything like Amazon or I use Amazon all the time. I like Amazon, but a lot of my home automation and things like that I've set up ties into my Google Home products. And I don't know if I necessarily like those things spying on me. But I have them because they're convenient and they make my life better in some ways. So I don't know. It is a concern. We've talked about it many times before. However, Facebook acquiring Fitbit, I see as if Amazon had acquired it, I probably wouldn't be as concerned. I might not want it as much because it would only fit in with their Kindle Fire line of products, and I don't use those as much. But I wouldn't be upset about it. Yeah. So let's talk about the iPhone 11 Pro, not the Pro Max, but the Pro. So I got an iPhone 11 Pro through Connection, and that was work. And I didn't get it from Apple or anything like that. This is not a sponsored segment. I'm not reviewing it for that purpose. But I'm more excited about the case that I got for it than the Pro. So when we were talking about it earlier, I did not tell you that the back of it's super slippery. That's why I got a case for it, because it's super slick. It's just got glass. I couldn't hold it in my hand, and I was worried that I was going to drop it constantly. With the case on, it's grippy, and the case doesn't add a lot of weight or size to it. It feels solid. It's a well-made device. And the screen to body ratio is good. I hate the notch. I don't know if you noticed the notch up there. I hate that notch. So before I go much further into it, I gave you about 2 seconds where you could look at a picture I took, a video I took, and play a game for a few seconds on it. What were your initial impressions, barring any of the other things that I said about it? What were your initial impressions of the phone?
I don't know. I mean, it was... When you just talk about a phone overall, they were all very good quality. When you talk about comparing it to another flagship like the Samsung, they were about the same. I mean, maybe if I had a long time to look, I'd see some differences. But for all the talk of the 3 cameras, it didn't seem like it was that amazing of an improvement opposed to what I'd already used to take pictures of my kid.
I can agree with that. So this model of the iPhone 11 Pro is right at $1,000. I think it was like $1,100. Space gray, 256. Yeah, it's like a so it's $1,200 for this model. It's more expensive than the Galaxy Note 9 that I was using to get the same equivalent stuff that would be in it. I prefer the Galaxy Note 9. They feel equally as responsive. The neither of them have like a super high refresh rate display or anything like that. The Galaxy Note 9 has a headphone jack, which I enjoy. The Samsung Galaxy S10 also has a headphone jack, and I kind of prefer that. I've used that phone too. One of the things that I did notice is that this one has some interesting camera effects, and the videos are very nice. I would not say it's the king of cameras. It is a little bit better than my Note 9, as far as video and picture taking. Also, the S10, it's a little bit better than that as far as that goes. Has wireless power. Doesn't do wireless power share. But now let's talk about the software on it, because this is where it really hits me. If you love Apple software, if you love iOS, it's fine. I love iOS on a tablet. The iOS 13, the new integrations they have with the tablet, we talked about that, dark mode, all that other stuff. I love dark mode on the phone. All those things are great. I don't like that my Android phone doesn't have those features. But it's coming, because eventually the Samsung will catch up with what Google's natively done. Yeah. One of the problems that I have with this, though, is where the notifications show up. It's hard to get to because of the chin here, that thing. if I want to get to my notifications, I have to, scroll down from the top and like kind of get it in a weird spot. But if I don't get in exactly the right spot, I pull down the Wi-Fi and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which, that's all integrated into the same movement on an Android phone. And maybe that's just because that's my preference. So I'm not saying that you should hate or love this. The big thing I have is the widgets, where the widgets are. Having to move to another screen or something like that when my widgets on my Android phone are on the home screen, if I want them to be, I can arrange them in a place where I can just turn on my lights or something, power on a piece of equipment or something like that. And then the notifications. The constant, like, everything is just like going at you constantly, and even when you have it silenced, it vibrates and things like that. When I want all the stuff silenced, like I've got the silence button on right now, it still vibrates at me.
Yeah, it does.
I don't like that. So
yeah, my Samsung phone did the same thing until I turned that off.
Well, so the thing is, I've turned that off, and it still does it.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah. At least in the Android, when there's a setting that you turn off vibrate when silenced.
Yeah, so only when Do Not Disturb is on is when it does it. So it still like nags me a bit. And finally, something that I use all the time when I take the dog out at night is the flashlight on the phone. You'd think that if you did that or something, it'd turn the flashlight on, even though the phone's unlocked. It won't turn the flashlight on. I have to go up here and hit the flashlight. Yeah. So it's a lot of extra movement for me. I just don't find it as efficient. These are my personal preferences.
Yeah.
So I think you would agree, if you like a slightly smaller phone, you don't like a large phone, this is a great phone. This is an awesome phone. It's not like hands above anything else. So it's all down to your preferences on things. It's not like I love this or I love that. But this is not the phone for me. It doesn't give me anything that no. Let me back up. There are two awesome features that I am tempted to stay on this phone because of. One is iMessage. Android and just about everything else has not figured out RCS, and that bugs the crap out of me. I've often thought about switching back to an Apple phone because someone called me on this phone. It showed up on my iPad and it'll show up on my Mac that I have. That integration
that is nice.
Is awesome. I want it across everything though. Like I want to be able to install something and it work on my Windows computer, it work on my iPad, it work on my phone. I want to be able to do it across the board. I don't want to just have it on one spot, right? But that said, it's the best that I can get right now as far as that goes. I've tried the Android Messenger on the web app. Have you ever tried that before?
Yeah, I've used a little bit. Like I know it's there. I've done it a couple times, but not extensively.
Well, that's the closest thing that I found, other than using some sort of other thing to take over your phone call, like a VoIP type device, like Wire or Hangouts or something like that, which Google is supposedly killing Hangouts. So I'm more interested in the awesomeness that is this sort of integration and how it just kind of flawlessly works. But it's not the best that it could be because it's not cross-platform. I can't use it anywhere. They don't have like a Linux app or anything like that. It's not just in any web browser. So because of that, it just really, it makes me sad that functionality, which is the most killer functionality that I can get, is not available everywhere.
Yeah.
And if that was opened up, I mean, I would keep this phone in a heartbeat if I could just use it anywhere all the time. And that's the draw, I think, of Apple's ecosystem. It's slick, it's pretty, and they have like some killer features that make it function just right.
Yeah.
But everything else that I hear about it, that I see, that I tie into, it just really it kills me that it's not more open.
Yeah. You really got to buy into it to get all the best parts of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on a mini rant though. This whole thing with phones got to get smaller and thinner now has not only killed our headphone jacks. you can't find good extended batteries anymore. That's what I was looking up on my phone. It's like, okay, well, at least the last time I had an Apple phone, I really liked it. Not so much for the phone itself, because I was able to get a case, I think it was made by Anchor, that had like an extra 3 battery lives worth of charge. It was a brick, and everyone would be like, oh, why is your phone so huge? Like, it was like this thick, and I hold up like 2 inches. But it was so awesome just to like only have to charge your phone like once a week. It's like, oh, you're at work, it's getting low, boom, just flick the charger on, powers it up as it uses it, and it would go fast enough that even if you were really using the phone, it was still charging it. Oh, it was great, loved it.
So, well, let's get into that for a moment, because I think that's a valid thing. I don't think those are needed anymore. And I used to think they were like the coolest thing ever, because it was a built-in battery, that you could. Yeah. But with like Anchor's technology and batteries, they now have battery banks like Anchor and the other one that makes battery. It starts with an A2, and I can't remember it right off the top of my head. But they have batteries that you can just set the phone on, instead of having to plug a wire into it.
Yeah, but that's not my thing. Like, I get what you're saying. It's easier to charge it. But I use my phone a lot. Like, I use it for music. That's how I consume most of my media. It's how I, like, read most of my news stuff, because I've got other things going on with my computers. It was nice just to be always on you for a consistent amount of time. And they still have them, but they're not, like, the huge depth anymore. It's like, the best one I could find was like an extra 120% battery life. It's like, okay, so you get like a whole extra charge out of it, which isn't as bad because the phones last longer. But there was something that was really nice about the, like, I could take this phone with me on a trip or something. I used to do it all the time when we go to Tennessee to see family. I didn't have to bring, like, if I forgot my charger, who cares? Because I've got like a week of battery life anyway,
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. But the phones then were so much less powerful, like in terms of what they could do with the battery, what you could charge with it, and things like that. That really, you can't get that same sort of performance out of at the same power level now. Because we've got like octa-core. Because I mean, those cores are like single core or dual core. Processors that ran less than a gigahertz. And now, like, all of our processors that were running in these, I think this one's an octa-core. That one, I think, is this was a 6-core, and that one's an octa-core or something like that. Like, they're all running at multiple cores. They're all over a gigahertz. Some of them are 2 gigahertz or higher.
Yeah, but that doesn't have anything to really do with it, though.
It absolutely does, because it has to do with the power consumption. So
that's what's different.
Yeah.
Like, when I look at the case I used to have, it was whatever it's measured in. It was like 20,000 mega ohms or whatever the storage capacity of those are. The ones that you can get for these phones now, because they want to stay slim, are 6,000. Like, that's the problem. It's the case that doesn't have as much storage because they want the phone to be smaller.
Yeah, well, okay, so I get what you're saying with that. And and in order to get that same like 21,000 milliamps of battery power, you have to have like an external battery power.
Yeah.
Battery brick. But to get the same, like to get higher charging, to get like all the circuitry that you need to be able to make it do some of the things, you can't put it on the, like, it would be like this thick. It'd be the size of the battery pack that you have externally. Or at least that's my understanding of it. I'm no expert in that area.
There is some trade-off with size, but I mean, like, the brick that I have, that is fairly large. I mean, it's bigger than my phone, but really not that much bigger than my phone, in terms of like how long it is and stuff. Yeah. That's 60. If you take a third of what my charger is, and you slap that on the back of my phone, I would be happy. It would make my phone a little bit of a brick again. You know, it'd be the 2 inches thick, but I'm okay with that. Like, I like larger phones. I don't mind heavier phones. I wouldn't mind if it had like a little docking station attached to give it like 8 plugins. Yeah. Because, I get that it's mobile, but it had to be that mobile for me. I just want to go back to that. I'm sure maybe someone somewhere sells one, but I still remember that as the glory day of my first real mobile phone. Was just it was still the size. If you remember, like the old phones from the 90s that were kind of like the bricks. Like it was like two Nokia slapped together, and I loved it.
I do like those things, but I think the other criticism I have around that area is the charging port. Everything else uses USB-C. You've got an iPad that uses USB-C. Why the heck are you using a Lightning port for this? This is stupid. It's USB 2.0. You can't even get USB 3 transfer speeds over a Lightning port. At least as far as I know. I mean, it's like a universal standard, and you invented it. Ooh, but that just like the proprietary of it, it kills the killer features for me. Like this is great. But it's super proprietary.
It's a trade-off. They give you good things, they give you bad things.
And you're going to charge me through the nose for the privilege of not having as good of an experience as other things.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, that's. Have you seen the latest episode of The Good Place?
No, I haven't. That's kind of what it's about.
Well, no, it's just there is a joke about Apple in there.
Oh, okay. I'll have to watch it then. But yeah, so that's all my gripes. But I don't want to leave on a negative thought. I mean, there is some really awesome tech in this phone. There's a sensing chip that's like the Bionic 11 or something like that. Yeah. But basically, when it's near another chip that's the same, it can tell the distance that it is away from something. So if like somebody has an iPhone on them and you're taking a picture of them, it can tell how far away they are and help to adjust for that. It's got some neat things to it. So let's talk about the Mpow H12 hybrid active noise canceling headphones. So you got to spend about 15 minutes listening to those. I've been spending about 3 weeks listening to them. Give me your thoughts on what you think about these headphones after listening to it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you how much they cost, but let's compare them right now to the Sennheiser ANC, the active noise canceling headphones.
Okay, I'm trying to remember exactly which ones those were.
Those are the one we both agreed they sounded great. They have great noise canceling. We also have the Microsoft ones. The only one of the top tier noise canceling headphones that we've tried are the Bose. I don't have any of those, but the Sennheiser or the Microsoft ones, whatever.
Yeah, I remember the Microsoft one was a little bit newer. I remember that one better. I will say these headphones made me sad.
Okay.
Because I first listened to them wired, hooked directly to my phone with the noise canceling turned off. And I really liked them. They had really good sound quality. There was even still some cancellation just because they're a snug fit and they're closed back. You can still hear some stuff in the background, but it's drowned out pretty well. Especially with how good the music quality is and the volume control is. You really couldn't hear that much. I could hear you like playing with your dog, but not to an excessive degree. I then took them out and I felt good about it. And you're like, okay, now listen to them wired. So I hooked them up and I listened to them on Bluetooth. And while the audio quality was worse, it wasn't worse to a super significant degree, but it had popping. Like the Bluetooth connection wasn't good for something like directly right next to it. And that kind of killed. I said, okay, but now there's this little canceling thing on. Boom, I turned the canceling on. The canceling makes the sound quality worse. It does cancel better than not having it, but it also warps the audio. It's some weird little pass-through thing where just like everything gets high-pitched. I had to play this thing where I was like hearing you talk and turn it on and watch your voice get really high like this, and then flip it down and you go back to normal. I was like, okay, that's a little weird. And I tried it both ways, and it's like the base default, I'm just a headphone with none of my special features, was pretty good. But every little additional feature I turned on made the most important part, the audio, worse.
That is very interesting. So I had some similar experiences with it. I didn't have that problem. That may come down to something to do with the way that your phone classified these. Because I had a similar problem with my Sennheisers when I hooked them up to the P50X. I think that's what they're called. I had a similar problem with them when I hooked them up to my one of my computers, because it was classifying it as a mic, like I was setting up to do a phone call. It was not classifying it as a set of headphones, and I had to go in and manually do it.
Okay.
To make it do that. So I wonder if that's what was happening with you, because I did not have that problem with these, and I haven't experienced that. I've used them for, I've had them for about a month, and I've used them for several weeks. I really used them over the last week a good bit, and so first let's talk about the negatives. One, they're hybrid ANC, so it's some software, some other things. They don't really push out all the noise around you. Yeah. So it just makes it more muffled. And you're right about the way that it decreases it also muffles the music that you're listening to. So it has it makes the highs lower and kind of dulls out the highs, and it takes and muddies some of the mid bass and bass together. So not that they're really super bassy headphones. They've got a bit of a bit more bass than some of the other headphones that I prefer. They're not audiophile in any way. I do agree that they sound pretty good wired. They're a little, depending on what sort of amp you're using. So like on my S10, which has I think a slightly more powerful amp, they have like a higher volume, but on the Note 9 I noticed that I did not get the same level of push into the headphones, so it felt like they weren't getting pushed as well, where my Note 9 doesn't really have a problem with some of my other Sennheisers, like the HD 690s that I have. I think that's the model. That it doesn't have a problem with pushing those, but for some reason it just didn't do as good of a job on these. The battery life is pretty decent. I think it's about 5 hours, 6 hours, something like that. So I can listen to them, for a while. And I've left them without having to be charged, so I don't listen to music constantly. It's not like I just pull them out and I'm walking around listening to it while I'm on the bus or something. So I have an hour or 2 hours, and so from session to session, it feels really nice. I like the feel of this pleather stuff they have for the cushion. That's really nice. So as you can tell, I've moved into the positives, not staying at the negatives. But the one thing that I really do like about it is that it feels comfortable.
Yeah,
it's nice. It's nice, comfortable, and if I was just looking for something to be able to kind of run around town, and I don't want to scuff up my really nice headphones, I'm not going on a trip or anything, I'm just going on a bus ride, or I'm doing something like that, and if I break these, I'm not going to be super sad about it because they're not as great.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I see these fitting in. And so the Sennheisers, $200 to $300 depending on when you buy them. It'd be anywhere from, I've seen them as low as $215, and the Surface headphones are about the same.
Yeah,
I prefer the Sennheisers, the PCX 550s, I think is the model number. I prefer those to these, but these were $35 when I bought them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So does that change your I mean, not necessarily your opinion on them, but would you buy these as compared to something else for some just kind of bang around? And I think I got them on sale. They might be normally around 50, but
I mean, even for 50, that does change the expectation a little bit. I'm not sure I could ever use them wireless. I don't know. Maybe I have to check to see if they were set up incorrectly on my phone. The thing that kills me with the wireless is the popping. I can't handle that. But it's just a wired headset. They're really passable. I'd probably never put the noise canceling on, but for $50, that's a good sounding headset.
Yeah, it is. And Mpow makes some pretty good wireless, inexpensive wireless stuff. I've used their Firefly. I've used some of their other products before. This is the 2019 version of this H12. I don't remember what the 2018 version was. Some people say they like the 2018 version better. So if you can find them in stock and you wanted to like try either one, I think they're worth a go.
Yeah, I mean, $50. I mean, anything 60 or below, that's actually a pretty good deal.
Yeah, let me see what they are on Amazon right now. Just because I think I don't want to misrepresent it.
Yeah. I mean, when the thing in my head, I'm comparing them to like the Surface headset. That's like $200 plus. I can't tolerate, like, for $200, I wouldn't be able to tolerate the audio cancellation not actually working very well, popping in the Bluetooth, stuff like that. But we're talking, like, really, that's a budget pair of headsets. Yeah, that's about the cost that people would spend on, like, a slightly above average earbud.
Yeah.
You know? So,
it's $49.99 on Amazon right now. It's not on sale.
Yeah. I might actually buy those.
Yeah.
My current headphones are starting to, they're not dead yet, but I'm starting to have issues with them. So, man, that turned my review all around. It's like, I don't really like these. I'm really disappointed in these. Oh, it's $50. Yeah, I'll buy them.
Yeah.
For $50, I'm much more willing to tolerate the complaints I have about it.
So they have 30 hours of playtime. I said 5 to 6. I think I was incorrect about that.
Okay.
I have not run them out yet, and I've only charged them twice.
Okay.
I even let somebody else borrow them, a common person we know, for a little while, and I don't think they charged them the whole time they had them. So I've charged them twice. I charged them up to make sure that they didn't die when you were listening to them. But other than that, man, I have no complaints about these that are serious. I think for what they do, they're worthwhile.
Yeah, for what they do, especially at the price range they do it.
Yeah,
that's respectable.
They're pretty compact too. Now, for like a serious work or something like that, I would not replace.
Yeah,
my headset, but for like I'm just using them around the house, or I go to the gym and I wanted to have like a headset that I could listen to some stuff in that's not like in ear.
Yeah.
I like these, and I think I would prefer them to something like, I definitely would prefer them to something like a Beats or something like that. I like them. I like the way they sound better than Beats. They're kind of comparable in like the bassiness when they're set up properly.
Yeah.
So they're not, but they're nowhere near as expensive. So yeah, let's talk about the Witcher series on Netflix. Have you seen the newest trailer for that?
I haven't seen the newest trailer. My wife keeps me up to date on most of the news that come out with it, but I haven't seen it. There's something that's been released in like the last week or two. I haven't seen it.
So that around Halloween, I think it was like the day before Halloween, they released the final trailer, because you're not supposed to be coming out in like a month.
Yeah.
And like Henry Cavill, I kind of was like, I don't know, in the first like promo shots where he had like the big hair and he didn't like his wig looked like very fake, and it was, all that stuff, the butt chin, all that stuff, like because he's kind of like a real muscular, thick dude. I was like, Geralt's kind of thin and light, but they like really like they've got some. They did some magic there to make him kind of feel more like Geralt, and I think he got the character down. I mean, he didn't really get Superman's character down. He didn't smile. He wasn't like magnanimous. None of those other things. I think he could do a good Geralt because he doesn't have to smile.
Yeah,
he doesn't have to have a lot of emotion. Yeah, he's got a lot. So like, I'm kind of excited about it, and the graphics look great. The only thing that could screw it up is if they take the story and they really mess it up. So like now it's as long as the graphics look like this throughout the series, which they did good with Daredevil and all the other stuff, if they mess up the story. But it doesn't seem like they're going to. It seems like they're going with the stories from the books, which were really good, and they could translate very well to film. There's I think there's some changes, not everything, and I've read through enough of the books. I haven't read two of them. I've read through enough of the books to know what happens and what they would need to have, like to be serious with it. I've played through all the games that CD Projekt Red put out, and I know that there's going to be differences between those games because those games are inspired by the books, but they're not the books. So
also, they're supposed to happen all after the books.
It does, absolutely. Yeah. It's after the events of the books, kind of at the end of the books, there's like some events that happen, and then this is supposed to happen afterwards. I'm super pumped about this, and if they follow the books and like everything kind of fits together, like you can see the games being something that comes after that. So I'm really stoked about this. I think it's going to be great.
Okay.
Since you haven't really followed it, I guess there's not much of a discussion we can have there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've followed to the sense that I know a lot of people were on the fence at the beginning, and that people are kind of starting to warm up with it with time. Yeah. So I am hoping that it comes out well. Because if it does, I'll definitely watch it.
Yeah, I'll let you know, because the day it comes out, I'm gonna watch it. I'm not I might even take like some.
Are
time
they gonna
off
release
work.
it all at once?
I don't know.
I'm getting tired of these places that are like, well, we know that you wanted a subscription service that we've binged forever, but now it's going to be weekly because we want to get extra money from those people that sign up for just one show.
So the only thing that I know about Netflix doing that, the only show that I've really seen them do that with was the Great British Baking Show, and that's actually being produced and released on a weekly schedule by like the BBC.
Yeah.
So they don't get it all at once. They're getting it but they're getting it released simultaneously or like the day after.
Yeah. Well, I just know that I think it was Netflix came out and said that they were exploring that model.
Yeah.
Of starting to do everything released like weekly.
I really hope that they don't do that.
Yeah, me too.
Because if they do, that'll kind of kill some of my excitement for it, and then I would wait until they release the whole thing to watch it.
Yeah. Well, that's what gets me. Is like that was really the allure of streaming originally. Was like, okay, yeah, if you're streaming a show that's on like TV, you have to wait. But oh, look, this is a Netflix original, or this is like a Prime original, or whatever. Yep. I just got it all at once. I can binge this. You can't do that if you're going to release your other shows.
Well, yeah, exactly. But it does. So there are some things about that are great. It does make it more consumable at a time if you do it like week at a time. So I can watch an hour. Yeah, I have to take a day off work to watch 12 or 13 hours.
If you want to watch them all at once. I mean, I'm just thinking like when The Good Place right now is being released every week, and it releases on Fridays. We don't always have the time. Sometimes, we got to wait until the weekend or even like a week later to be able to watch it.
Yep.
Whereas BoJack Horseman just came out, and it came out all at once. It's like 8 episodes. And, we didn't take a day off to watch it. We just, every night when the kid went to bed, we watched 2 or 3, and it was a lot of fun. And we finished it in like a week.
Yeah.
I don't buy into that it's more accessible by releasing it slower, because people will just watch it on whatever their schedule allows them to watch it on.
So I didn't mean that. I'm sorry.
And I wasn't implying you, but that is an argument that like Netflix and Prime, and even I think the new Disney service says they're going to follow that model. And that's one of the things I say about it. It's like, it's more consumable. It's easier for you to know. You watch it every Thursday.
Yeah, that is trying to that is companies trying to go back to a model where they can monetize this in like repeatable sections. Trying to go back to like that kind of cable model.
Yeah.
So we brewed some cider about a week ago, and so by the time you hear this, it'll be 3 weeks. But we brewed some cider, and it seems to be going along pretty well. Every time I go and tap the thing, it pops up a whole bunch of bubbles. We'll go out and look at it later today. And then the next time we record, which will be our last episode, we'll be able to give you a little bit of information on it. Maybe even have tasted it at that point if we wanted to let you know how it goes. But otherwise, this is our second to last episode for the season. And then we're going to take a break until spring, and we'll do a spring section in 2020. And then we'll do a fall section in 2020. And we're hopefully going to be on a brewing schedule that's actually legit this time, and not just we brew twice in a year. Yeah. I'd like to get like 4 or 5 times in a year going. So, but we're going to try to focus on the cider and getting that cider recipe in, like kind of dialed in there. Is there anything you want to say about that? Like, kind of give a promo?
Not really. I think I'm good. I'm excited to try it. It's going to be our first run that we've done, at least when the podcast was running, at like a sweet cider.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Well, we're trying to nail the base cider in, and then we're going to back sweeten it to make it more consumable. But that said, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate your time, and we'll catch you next time for the last time for 2019.